All right, so we are here for podcast episode number 3. We're going to be doing a recap on our visit to Dale Memorial Park. This is Greg.
And Chris.
And this is Shadowsabound. And we are very excited to bring y'all the video and what we experienced. But with this podcast, we just kind of want to go more in depth and talk about what we saw or what we witnessed and just kind of go over what we went through.
Yeah, I mean, we were walking in the beginning, and right away we had what seemed like something was moving this. I don't even know how we wound up finding it in the tree, but there was this wind chime in the tree right at, like, I don't know, average person height. So you're a 6 foot, 6'2", so it was right
6'2", yeah.
So it was right at your height. And then there was no wind.
You kind of had to reach up and grab it, yeah.
I couldn't touch it. Tried to make sure it was still, and made sure wind wasn't pushing it. There was weird flags around it, so that was our test. And I guess you were the one that made the decision where, let's ask questions. It's moving all on its own. There's no wind. Let's ask some questions. And I think you started asking basic questions. You know, why are you here? That kind of stuff.
No, it was cool to see. So we messed with it a couple times. After you had messed with it the second time, we had asked if it wanted to touch it, and then that's when on camera we actually noticed, with no wind, that the wind chimes were moving, and it kept hitting one note over and over and over and over, and it lasted for quite a bit. But the crazy thing is, after I edited the footage, while we were there at the wind chimes, I actually caught what I believe I saw an orb come flying from the tree into where the camera's lens was at, and then it disappeared. And that was when we were messing with it. So for me, I was like, after I was going through all the footage, I was like, I think we actually captured something twice.
Yeah.
Usually a lot of times when you have activity and you have an orb, that almost shows you more that, you did capture something.
And that's crazy because I didn't see the orb, but I felt, goosebumps all over that.
If you go back, I think it's like halfway through the video. I think I even put up subtitles saying that, orb flying through or whatever. But it if you want to see it, it's pretty cool. We definitely got some voices coming through the speaker box. Some of them were actually very chilling. Some of them we didn't really understand. I think that we actually got some foreign languages coming through. Either that or it was a bunch of spirits at once coming through. We were asking, if anybody want to conversate, talk, or anything like that. And a couple times, we had some jumbling coming through.
Yeah.
But we had that one answer from 3 different people,
right,
which is crazy.
Almost, yeah.
And it was a male that said, "I'm cool," and then it was a female that said, "Yeah," and that stood my hair up, like I had goosebumps because it felt like she was right there. And then the third one, we didn't really understand what it said.
Yeah, it sounded like a little kid that could say that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't make out words.
Yeah, but that right there, we were at. So they have flags there. For like the Coast Guard, for Virginia, a couple other stuff. And we were right there trying to ask some questions, which is like on top of the hill. It's above everything else. And so there's a lot of heavy stuff up there, almost energy-wise as well. And that's where we got a lot of answers from. But the one that freaked me out the most, in the beginning while we were there, I kept feeling stuff touching me. And I felt it almost felt like a little kid, kind of pulling on my pant leg, like right. Trying to get my attention type deal, and, kind of like my son does at home, I'm way taller than he is. So if he wants my attention, he's, pulling on my leg or shirt or something.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. And I asked the question, were you the one that touched my leg? And the fact that a little kid's voice came out and was like, yes, like he was almost nervous to say it. That freaked me out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was like, holy crap, like,
and
what I felt was real.
Was audible enough where I heard it. I was like, what's going on here? Because you would also ask, like, are you a child? Do you know that you're dead? You asked a couple really good questions. Right.
You asked, do you know if you're dead? I can't remember the response on a couple of them, but there was some stuff that came through. Oh, it was very hard to hear it, but when I went back on footage, I picked it up. You asked, do you know you're dead? And a voice came through, a female voice, and it said, I'm dead. Like, almost like I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow.
So that I was like, all right, that's cool.
Because I noticed we're still getting used to timing We finally, like, from the last one and this one, not trying to shotgun all of our questions at once. Giving them time to
give
respond
it space.
back.
Yeah. No, we definitely need to do that, I think, because we have gotten a lot of responses, and we were kind of almost talking over the responses, or we didn't give it enough time to come through. Because with spirits, they do need a little bit of energy to kind of pick up before they can respond. Now, there was a couple things we didn't get to do much of, and that was we didn't get to use the REM pod, the EMF detector. We didn't really get much action on that. And then we did bring out the cat balls that are EMF detectors as well, or more motion detectors. We didn't really get anything on that. I don't know if it's just the place we were at, or maybe timing, energy. I don't know. The way it felt being there is it felt like a normal cemetery, just a little bit more boosted with bone chilling, like something's next to me kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt like nothing was on top of us. It just felt like it was around us at some point. Versus like North of Coal Mines, when we were there and used the EMF detector, we definitely got a lot of action from that. And I feel like because there was stuff literally all around us.
Yeah, like North and Coal Mines kind of felt like you've ever been to a mall on a Saturday and it was a crowded experience, shoulder to shoulder with everybody.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of the feeling you would get, which, it's fine. There's going to be some places we go we're not going to get equipment picked up on, or, we'll get more speaker box than we will get something else. But you actually tried Estes method for the first time.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool, seeing it from the other side and asking questions. How did you feel about it?
I mean, it was weird for me. Like, so, like our conversation before was we're both medium-esque, or we're both sensitive.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I'm already kind of an antenna, and then I became, once I put it on, started hearing stuff right away. It was like becoming a supercharged antenna, or being pumped with electricity, I guess you could say. And it was hard to concentrate because I was actually getting word after word after word, or someone would give me a sentence and then someone else is trying to say something right when I'm getting the sentence. So I could not actually say but one of those two things at once, because it was hard to hear 2-3 things all at once.
Now, for the people that watch the video, there's different shows out there, or people that when they do Estes method, they do it a little bit different. So some people just literally say the word that comes out. But for you, or how, I've never asked you, was it when you said the words, sometimes you repeated yourself. Did they actually repeat it in the speaker box, or were you just repeating it fully understood?
There was a couple times where it was just one word, and whoever it was or what it was would say it 3-4 times. So in my head, I'm going, okay, I got to keep saying it because they're saying it. Until I changed over.
Because me asking you questions, sometimes you did repeat yourself, and I was like, either they're saying it multiple times, or he's just saying it so everyone watching can fully understand what was said. Because there was one question where I asked, I was like, do you want us to be here? And you were like, oh, no. And like the way you said it, it almost felt like an older lady or something like that who was just kind of like trying to shrug somebody off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, man, nah.
There was an old lady voice, but for some reason each person talked to me repeated themselves. I don't know why. And there was, to be honest, it didn't really sound like an old lady. It sounded like a witchy person.
Really?
Being narcissistic, kind of sarcastic, where they're like, oh no. But at one point I had thought, while repeating myself, that I was stuttering or not saying it. So after repeating it as many times as they would say it, I would try to say it another time to make sure it came out clear. So
now there definitely is some stuff we missed. There's like a sword and stone sculpture there. There's a couple like different Jesus sculptures, stuff like that. So we didn't fully get to roam all 70 acres, which is a lot. Big. Yeah, it's a lot. So we just kind of went through what we felt like it was enough at that moment. We wanted to do like a daytime, nighttime one, but we honestly just decided to go one night and kind of go through it and see what we could get.
Which was a pretty cold night too.
Yeah, it was pretty cold. Which honestly, if we want to go back and do a daytime one, we can. I think the next daytime cemetery walkthrough we want to do is probably going to be Hollywood Cemetery, which is in Richmond.
Yeah, downtown.
Now, that one's really cool because apparently there's a vampire that's stored away there.
Vampire, some Civil War people.
Some presidents.
Some presidents, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to try and check that one out eventually as one of our next targets. But no, we definitely had fun being there. It was definitely some cool experiences we got. We were touched. We got some answers. We did the Estes method for the first time. I always mess that word up.
It's hard to say.
Estes method.
Yeah, especially if you say more than once.
Yeah, but so we tried that for the first time on camera and put it in the video.
We had some personal stuff too that we can go through in detail another time.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do it now.
But yeah, no, we definitely enjoyed the walkthrough. It's a little bit more different than an investigation for us. An investigation, we're trying to pick up on answers of why things happened, why the tragedies were there, what could have caused it. If it's like a murderer, you want to find out, what kind of mindset that person had or why he did those or he or she did those things.
Right.
Versus like a walkthrough where we're just really there in the environment and
figuring it out for the first time.
Yeah, if something happens to where we get some answers, cool, but it's really just the scenic stuff. So we actually have a special guest with us today. We have actually another Chris coming along.
Yo, what's good? How you doing?
What's going on, man? We are happy to have you here.
Definitely.
Chris is actually going to be joining our group. He's going to be joining our channel. So we're
Very excited.
We're excited to have you. He's going to be joining up with us and helping on some investigations and walkthroughs and stuff like that. So we're super happy to have another member with us. So why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and kind of tell us about you a little bit.
Well, yeah. So in the same sense, I'm 22 years old. I've had a few experiences. I would say I'm not really big on. I haven't really been big on like the idea of spiritual presences or in that sense at all. But I've had experiences where it's not explained. Like I'm a big science guy. Like if it can't be proven, like in a physical sense or mathematical, in some way, shape, or form, using a logical sense, then there's no point in like really taking it in. But I will say in more of a recent sense, I say within the past maybe 5 years of my life, I've actually had a lot of more or less out of body experiences where I've seen it and I've witnessed it for myself. A lack of recording or any presence, but I've just been multiple instances where I've had that. So definitely been very excited to join in on this because like I've seen, taking time to look at the videos and understand what y'all are doing. It's really actually something different. It's different. It's a way bigger context of content, at least on my part. Just no goofy stuff about it. Like a lot of other channels I see, they don't really, cover things in a more like literal aspect. It's more done up or fanboyish.
We could definitely be goofy too.
Yeah.
I mean, we are three goofballs,
Yeah, we will be ourselves no matter what. But I mean, I can definitely say that, Chris and I, as much stuff as we have witnessed personally in our lives and also, together or just with other people, there's always that question in your head, did I actually see that? Did I actually hear that? Is that real? Am I seeing stuff? Is that a shadow?
Exactly.
There's always those questions where scientifically you want to answer. So we decided to finally say enough is enough. Let's bring some equipment. We're both sensitive people to energies and to the world of supernatural or paranormal or whatever you want to say it. So for us, we want to actually have some proof and then show others because you never know. Somebody else in life could be going through the same stuff we are. And if we're able to bring stuff to the table to where they're like, maybe I'm not going crazy. Maybe I do actually see stuff. Because you always have that question in your head if maybe I'm not seeing it.
Is it in my head?
Like that moment where you feel, moment where you feel something's behind you and you actually really feel that something's behind you. Like it's a whole different process.
Yeah. Things could be said that, our minds are powerful engines. We can breathe things into light just by thinking of something.
Right.
So, pulling things into fruition just by thinking about it, bringing it into the light or bringing it as attention can come there out of nothing.
Yeah. I mean, and for
creative
us,
minds.
When we have the power to speak things into existence.
Yeah. That too, yeah. And for us, this is an adventure to where we can say definitely, yes, I saw that, or yes, we can bring that to the light.
Right.
And kind of ease our mind a little bit, because there's a lot of times to where you might be like, yeah, I might be actually going crazy. I didn't see nothing, or just whatever it could be. But we're always skeptics too. Like there's always a little bit of skeptic in everybody, to where you're like, that was the wind, or whatever.
So what would y'all explain or describe the proper term of a goosebumps feeling? Is it like the same feeling you would get when you have like maybe a hair-raising thought, startled, or is it like a cold feeling? Because like I've understanding goosebumps on my part as like it's not like a cold feeling, because it's not like a certain rush that triggers the goosebump. More or less, the goosebumps are like just like I guess would say they're there on their own. Like I don't feel a presence that triggers it. Like normally, like if it's a hair-raising thing, my mind is processing something is making me like antsy. No, it's more or less it happens. That's how I would describe it.
I'll let you answer first, and then I'll answer second.
All right.
Go ahead.
I mean, for me, it would be there's levels to it. Like sometimes you can just have like how you take a balloon and rub it against your arm hair, and the balloon makes static electricity on your hairs and the hair stand up. You have that. Then you have ones where you're feeling an energy in your skin, and the skin at that surface level is kind of numb, or you have pins and needles, and you physically see your hair standing up. And then you have the weird sensation where that portion of your body is ice cold, or that portion of your body is super hot, and it's indicating a temperature change, or a presence could be touching you. And then it can also be used as a compass. So your hairs are standing up and you feel energy or electricity touching you where the hair is standing up. Yeah. And it's in the direction of where something or where it is standing near you. That's
what I've felt before in multiple instances. That's where it got me more interested in paranormal in itself.
Yeah. Well, for me, so in different ways I can answer it. So your body is honestly the best tool of discovering things. So if you're in an environment like a cemetery, or a very tragic site or whatever, if you could feel sadness, you could feel empathy, you could feel happiness, like you could feel so many different emotions, and sometimes those goosebumps will show you what emotions you have. It's almost like a spider sense, Spider-Man gets tingling and he's like, oh, a brick is coming at me, a car's coming at me, he dodges.
Right.
Well, with us as humans, it's almost like I feel something in my presence, so something is around me, so I need to buck up and defend myself. You always have that fight or flight mode.
Right, exactly.
And when you're out there in the wild, as humans, we're going to feel that way.
Right.
So goosebumps almost kind of show you that something is around, or something is happening in that moment. So you need to get prepared for it, type deal. So for me, spiritually, or, just feeling anything, that's kind of where I'm at as a sensitive person to it all. So, if I feel like heavy goosebumps where it's like neck, the back, the shoulders, that indicates to me that something is very evil, something is very dark, something is right on top. Like I've been touched in the arm, the neck, the leg, or whatever, and sometimes I'll just feel a goosebump at that moment in that area. Mm-hmm. But when I realize I've been touched by something that's not human, that's when my whole body gets shocked. And I go, it's almost what they call a witness. So what a witness is basically proving to you what you saw, heard, or whatever was real, and you're not going crazy. So if your body fully reacts to that, then you really did get touched by something.
Or something.
Fair enough.
It's the same way, like if I were to tell you a story 10 years ago of something touching me or something I experienced, and my hair stands up on my body, that is called a witness, which means that your body remembers that instant, and so your body reacts to it again, just like people that go through trauma.
I was just going to say that's like reminds me of like a traumatic experience.
So people that have like PTSD, traumatic experiences, stuff like that, their body tenses up or reacts in certain ways because that memory hits them, and then they all of a sudden are flight or fight mode, and they got to get in that moment.
Stimulates that, definitely.
It's kind of the same thing.
Or like the level of intensity of the goosebumps indicates the strength or the proximity of where the thing is, or where it is.
So my biggest thing is
you
like,
can have good goosebumps too. Because as much evil stuff or negative stuff that we've witnessed or seen, I've seen good stuff too. And I've seen good things in my presence too.
When you say good goosebumps, like what do you mean by that? I always thought like goosebumps is supposed to be like your fight or flight senses itself.
Kind of like, for example, grandma's cooking at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You take that first bite into pumpkin pie, or you take that first bite into stuffing with a gravy or whatever, and your whole body just goes, just a warm feeling, and you feel okay in that moment. You feel comfortable.
I'm eager to experience things like that. Definitely.
I've met people in real life that I swear were an angel or a guardian or something, because I'll have a moment to where I'm just sitting there and I'm in my thoughts and I'm like, today's a bad day. I'm going through a bunch. I'm this. And I just meet somebody randomly on the street that literally tells me it's okay without actually trying to tell me it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walk down the street and I don't see them.
Gone. I've had that experience.
And I'm like,
that's what I'm talking about.
And after that, you're like, I'm all right. Like, I'm okay.
Like, that calms you down just by you witnessing they were there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like, we all have serious relationships. So Chris and myself are married. Greg's in a serious relationship.
Right.
So we have women that will tickle us. Sometimes a comfortable goosebump is feeling a tickle. With
like a hug too, yeah.
With a warm embrace.
Yeah.
Like you're getting hugged.
Yeah.
Or something's gently rubbing
you know
your
it's
skin.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I always say, it's like being home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're with your significant other, you're home.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Sense of security, definitely.
Yeah. So because as men, we're always constantly like, we got to be secure. We got to take care of the family. We got to We don't always allow ourselves
constantly
to calm
moving,
down
thinking.
and say it's okay, because we have to make sure everybody else is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And our women need that too. A lot of times they're frantic and everything's got to be okay.
Yeah,
exactly. Worry about
exactly.
Is my guy going to take care of this? So sometimes we both do that for each other, calm each other down.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Or like, you're dead tired after work, and your significant other brings the just cleaned dried blanket, and it's warm.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And they
clean
pull
bed
the blanket
sheets.
on you.
Clean bed sheets is always a great feeling. When you lie down after like working all day, you're just like, yeah.
Or like you have a headache or something, and you put your head on that ice cold pillow.
Yep.
And you're like,
Okay.
the sensation of that taking.
Yeah, when you
breath.
flip the pillow over and it's cold. Yeah, always. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, what has been like your first experience with anything that paranormal? Period. Like a instance. Period.
Well, what's yours, and then we'll tell you ours.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that was a good question. That was a good one. I wasn't expecting that. Well, I would say maybe when I would say Lances Boulevard. I want to say I know it was elementary school. I stayed there till 3rd grade. So what was I like?
Was that 2-3 years almost?
Yeah. I want to say I have only been like at least 10 or 12 around that time, within that time frame. I had a dog.
It's early age, basically.
Yeah, very, very early age. So me personally, I've never experienced anything in the nature. Like I was always told that I always had, on a spiritual standpoint, my parents are religious as well. And at that time, we were in our congregation at that time, and I was always told that I had a target on my back just because of my
connection with God stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So in that same sense, I remember I had a dog, and I know dogs they're keen. Now that I understand, they're keen to pick up any movement. It could have been something
Spiritual
crawling in the walls, right? But this situation was different because it was like the way that our house was set up. Like if you ever look it up, it's directly on a corner. So like every time the sun would shine in at that time of day, around the time I get off, I get off at like 2:30 in the morning, not in the morning, in the afternoon, excuse me. The sun's always shining in directly on that window, and especially on the summertime, close to the time this happened, the sun's always there. It was not a cloudy day, and I kid you not, it was like coming out of the room that me and my brother shared, and not to go any further on that, but we had things going on. And I just felt like there was like always a presence there. You could always feel the vibe. And I never really cared too much or knew, honestly, and a social cue of what vibes and picking up social cues or when you can tell something's off. Never really understood how to discern the two. But I always could feel a cold breeze. Like when the house is hot, why is it cold here?
In one area by itself.
Yeah, and and I was like, well, thinking back on it now, we had a lot. Basically, I would say we had a lot of people fighting demons. We had situations
like
going
internal
on.
demons and stuff.
Yeah, and there was one time, basically, I came home and my dog was just barking at the door. And mind you, my brother was not home. No one was home. And I ended up, finally mustering up the courage to 15 minutes of this dog barking. Like, his name was Buster. constantly barking, constantly. Like it was like a type of bark that even maybe not even knowing what a
Make you
growl.
nervous.
Yeah, like
Defensive bark.
I couldn't even tell. I didn't even know what dogs do. Like I just knew I had a pet, and I could tell sometimes when it's upset, maybe it'll snap. It's the most I knew, but when I could tell, I learned that day like that. That's a type of bark or growl that signals danger. Like they're
Somebody's
defending me.
making it feel fearful, so it's being defensive of you and your property.
Yeah, and I remember like as I walked up to the door, it was like if you've ever been like you've dived down in water and you try to come up quickly, like how your ears pop and you get that sensation that feels like honestly, it feels like
body.
it feels like your whole body's being like either like squeezed and released at the same time. It's like it's a weird atmospheric
It's
pressure.
like deja vu.
Yes. It was like my mind was like felt like it was warping. Like it felt like if I was walking through like the slightest bit of like a pressure of resistance. Like I've had like every tether on my body being pulled.
That's one of my biggest things as a sensitive person to all this is. So my grandfather died last year, right?
Sorry for your loss.
No, thank you. And my whole family was there. It was my mom's dad. She called me in the morning. She said that my grandfather had passed. And at that time, she was taking care of him at home. And very strong-minded individual. He was not going to go to home, hospital, nothing. Like he was going to be at home and be happy and comfortable.
Right.
So he died in his sleep. She called me at like 6, 7 in the morning, something like that, hysterical. And so me and my brother and my sister, we all went over there and made sure she was okay. And we were there all day. And so my grandfather, I think at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, something like that, funeral home came out and actually literally got him out of bed and put him in like a gurney blanket situation and like dragged him down the steps kind of deal. Like carried him down the steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the whole family was in the living room and literally the whole family watched my grandfather getting carried down the steps and out the door.
In the sheets.
And that was a weird moment for me to see that because I've seen a lot of dead bodies and stuff before. My mom used to be in a hospital as a kid. I'd see stuff like that. But this for me it was a family member.
Right.
And,
It's different. It's a whole different story.
Yeah. And so in his bedroom where he died at, I said my final goodbyes to him while he was in bed, and that was hard for me to do that. But his closet. So my grandmother had her own closet. He had his own closet. So helping my mom out, we had to, go through his stuff, make sure that we had all his stuff in order and all that kind of stuff. So we had to go through all of his things, make sure that this went there, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Me walking into his closet every single time, instant head rush. And then when it was like walking through like cellophane, you know what I mean? Like it was such a hard, heavy, thick. I mean, my ears are popping, my face hurt. I started weeping a little bit. Didn't know why. I don't cry much, but at that moment, tears were coming out. Yeah. And it was just such a heavy presence. And I literally would blink my eyes because it was such a heavy, presence. And I had to back out. And every time I took a step in, it would hit. It was like an energy force field type thing. And that happened at my grandma's. That happened both of my grandpas. Going into buildings or houses or whatever, like being in an empty house, even just looking at them to buy or whatever, because we're trying to find one right now.
You can feel that
There's
pressure.
certain rooms I've gone into where I'm like, something happened here.
Yeah.
Or these people were not okay, or just I just feel it. So it's like a big, heavy deja vu feeling. So that's a big thing I go through. So you going through that at 10 or 12, that's a sign that you're also sensitive as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to myself. I was like, that's what I've always ever felt. Like I felt the goosebump. Never felt like a full on hand. Like I felt like the slightest bit of like maybe a presence of breath. Like I get like the senses of something. And definitely with the atmospheric pressure, that's like what I've always sensed. Like I can always tell when like even when someone's upset. Like I can easily tell like without goosebumps or anything. That is what I feel like. It feels like someone's like, I can feel you're upset. Like if I can feel you're hot,
going through emotions.
I'll tell. Like there's nowhere in the world that someone could get that past.
It's kind of like too, like you enter a room after someone had just had a bad argument.
Yeah, you can tell.
And the room is empty, but you just entered the room, and usually that atmospheric change is usually a sign of energy.
It's like residual.
Exchange.
Yeah.
Something's being left or something's being brought in. And when I say brought in, entering the other side, obviously, and or sometimes they say too as well with the phenomenon going on that It could be the creation of an opening or closing of the portal as well.
Yeah.
But definitely an energy exchange first, because that will happen with someone getting confused, someone having an argument, like I said, someone having a fight, traumatic stuff happening, or like for you, Greg, with your grandpa at the closet. That might have been the day, the part of his day where he started his day and ended his day. So in the beginning of his day, he might have been thinking about all his stress too, and then changing into clothes and not wanting to go through the stress and changing.
So without getting too personal into it, my grandmother also died in the house. She had a very traumatic way of dying.
Yeah.
So he died in his sleep. I won't say how she died.
That's fine.
Nothing, like nobody hurt her or anything, but she had an accident and she was home alone and she passed away from that accident. But walking through that bathroom or going into the bathroom that was in their bedroom, it was the same feeling. It was just, you feel like your head just shrinking in and just all the pressure. So also sometimes with that feeling, it's hard to tell really what you're into. Like you could go into an empty home and it could be peace and happiness all throughout there and you get that feeling and you don't know why. But I've noticed sometimes it's either the head to where it's like, or you get it on the neck, the shoulders. But the neck and shoulders sometimes is more of a comfortable feeling.
Okay.
The head is more like, holy crap, something happened. But I guess for your first experience, I'll kind of just say a little bit of what I was going through at an early age. So from the ages like 5 and 6, even all the way back then, I would have very vivid dreams. I remember one recurring dream I had was a lot of fire, and I would have a shadowy figure reach out to me, and it would wake me up. And it was almost like something was there. I'd wake up sweating, didn't know what was going on. People talk about sleep paralysis. I had sleep paralysis all the way back then when I was like 6.
I've only experienced that one time.
I'd wake up and I'd go to say dad or mom or, my brother's also named Chris, so I would say Chris or whatever, and nothing would come out.
Right.
Now, also, there were times that, being a kid, you take a nap or whatever, your mom's like, go in your room, take a nap, I'm done with you. That I would, be in my room and I would start hearing voices. Or at an early age, I didn't know what it meant, but as an adult, now I do, and now it kind of scares me for my younger self, but I would hear scratching on the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it was like scratching, like outside on the wood type, like heavy. And I didn't know that was a demonic sound. Or that was something that was malevolent. Whatever the word is.
Malevolent?
Yes, there you go. Maleficent, But I didn't know that until I got older. So as a kid, I just thought it was an animal outside or just, whatever. But as an adult, I'm like, holy crap. Like, I literally was witnessing stuff that...
Yeah, you got me thinking about that, like, when it comes to, like, deducing things like that. Because as a child, a lot of stuff happens. And I think as a child, a lot of people don't really think back. So... Yeah. It's like I always encourage people to think back on that just because of what I've experienced.
Trying to have flashbacks, but
think about it.
As adults too, it's like whatever as a sensitive or people say medium, psychic, whatever. I feel like sometimes your powers or what you can feel or go through does grow or change or you upgrade things as you learn. Evolve. Yeah. I've always had a thing to where if I meet somebody, I know who they are in the first few minutes. And I say that as in like I could talk to somebody and be like, you're a piece of crap. Like in my mind, I'm like, this dude, this female, whoever is a piece of garbage. Like they care about nothing else except themselves. Or I can meet somebody and be like, this person loves everybody they talk to. Like I get those feelings from people. And sometimes I could see energy auras. Like there's different things I witness and go through. But those were my early stages, were very vivid, real dreams that honestly got worse as I got older. But dreams, hearing things, and feeling like super emotional sadness and stuff like that just at random. I didn't know that I was feeling, like if my parents got into a fight or if my brother got in a fight with my dad, or if the neighbor was getting into it or whenever something was happening, I would take on those emotions. Right. And I didn't know that until I got older. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that...
So that's the sign that you're empathic, that you're absorbing others' trauma and or positive things as well. So like as many times as you can absorb the energy that's negative, you can also absorb the energy that's positive too as well. But it's much easier for the negative to be passed on first.
Yeah, like I find myself able to lucid dream like now I'm able to actually literally do it on command. Like I could literally know to go to sleep and be able to have a lucid dream.
Mine's random.
Yeah, whatever dream I have now, I've had nightmares recently with past memories of myself, and like that's really crazy to have a lucid dream.
Like reminding you,
I can't get out of it. Like
trauma.
like I'm literally like trying to figure out how. Like sometimes I get caught up. I've been having like sweats and stuff. You know, just like what experiences. That's why I'm like even more eager to now explore it, because I'm like if I'm feeling and experiencing.
So you're sensitive to it all.
Yeah, and I was like, because like I mean, I know I'm going through a lot, like you know, personally, like I know I have my own things I'm working through,
which will amplify it sometimes.
Right, but I know at any point in time, like what I'm experiencing, I mean, like
stress
I don't even
is
want
a
to.
big factor. Too.
Yeah. Like I think it plays tricks on your minds, because you know sometimes you'll start to imagine or think of things that don't need to be thought of.
Yeah.
But no, I'm well aware, like you know, like this is something I want to get into, just so I can understand really more of the side of the paranormal. So like, definitely.
Would you guys both agree, if you both shared similar levels of vivid dreams, would you not even categorize it as vivid dreams and more so waking nightmares from back then versus today, or the now versus then?
That's a good question.
I guess so. For me, as a kid, it was more repetitive dreaming. So I would have a lot of the same dream over, and I think honestly, as a kid, you haven't experienced as much as you have until your adulthood, because you've only been alive for so long. So you dream what you can, or or whatever. Which a lot of evil entities or whatever will show you themselves in a format where you're afraid of, or what you know of, or whatever.
Which you can comprehend or can scare you.
Yeah. So as an adult and growing up, my dreams have kind of shotgun into a lot of different things. I can have really vivid, happy dreams, and me and wifey are running around having fun and on a vacation, and
I don't know.
doing stuff.
I agree with that completely.
Or it could be something horrible where my whole family is gone, or
Yeah.
I've seen some very horrible, like horrendous, to where like I woke up, my fists were clenching. I was like either grabbing the mattress and was like just clenching down as hard as I can, and was ready to fight something that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Or I wake up with sleep paralysis, which sucks, because some people say that they see things, or some people say that it feels like something's on top of them, or just everybody experiences it differently. And I've had so many different experiences. But I mean, I've also even woken up to, which is chilling to the bone. And again, we're talking about, witnessing something.
Yeah,
like,
I
got
witness
goosebumps.
right now. You saying that?
Is I woke up to literally something screaming as loud as it could in my ear. And as soon as I woke up, it stopped.
Whoa.
But it was something malevolent,
wanted to
whatever.
communicate to you when you were asleep.
Yeah.
But it was something demonic or whatever.
Right.
And which is weird, because I do live in an apartment complex, so I don't know if it's everything around me at once.
Yeah, like
but I have felt
too many
stuff.
different atmosphere, like
Yes,
pressures.
I have felt stuff travel through walls or around me and stuff like that, which I'm like, that's not for me, that's something else. So for me, it's a lot of different stuff now compared to when I was a kid. A kid, it was the same stuff.
Yeah.
An adult, it's all over the place.
You got to realize too, being even slightly sensitive, we're all, I want to say all three of us are on a different level.
Yeah.
But someone at even amateur compared to us, on the other side, what those things see would be like a big flashlight. And then the minute your ability gets activated, or you're open to it, and there's three ways you can be open to it. You're a little tipsy, you're a little high, or you're really sleepy, or you're asleep, and they see this light being turned up to 11 instead of 10. And whether they're intended for you or a person next to you or someone in the other apartment, they get drawn to you like a fly on a light bulb, or a magnet to another magnet, simply because you're sensitive.
Yeah, definitely. But no, so what is your first experience, since we said ours? So, listeners.
I was 4, and it happened for I want to say the first 8 years of my life right away for some reason. I don't know why it changed at the age after that. But at 4, I would wake up, and I would wake up to myself being held up into the corner of the ceiling in my bedroom after having a waking nightmare. And usually the nightmare was anything and everything.
You were physically up there, or
physically being held up there.
Yeah, like
so what you would see in an
Yeah, you got
Exorcist
heavy.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to bring attention to the last time we were talking on the podcast. But I still have some of those waking nightmares now as an adult, but
not on the ceiling.
But to describe the waking nightmare, maybe it was the reason why I was being held up into the ceiling. I'm not sure. In a Spider-Man position, so my back, mind you, is into the corner of the ceiling. My hands and feet are up against the parts of the wall holding me there. I'm not realizing I'm there until, I guess, the experience was someone's yelling your name, and that woke me up. But I had my parents and a pastor from a church in a state, because I'm not originally from Virginia, so I'm from upstate New York. So
Right.
There's this pastor I barely knew. Mind you, I'm 4. I hear him yelling my name. I hear my parents yelling my name. And I guess that's what woke me up. But apparently it had been going on for hours, and I didn't know what was happening. Because I'm in the dream. So in the dream, I'm in the middle of a fire, like the fire's all around me.
Wow.
Close up to the point where I'm feeling my toes burning. And I'm hearing people yell my name. Christopher! Christopher! And it's like 20, 30 voices just yelling my name.
Trying to wake you up.
And that dream was happening for hours and hours and hours.
That's a heavy experience.
And I haven't... So what's weird with me is, or like my sensitivity, I didn't want to go into detail last time, but it's basically like, I guess I can use a movie for an example. The part in Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves, where he has to be on that level where he's dead and coming back, being brought out, out of the chair. Death. So he's in a chair and he's got his feet in the water and he electrifies himself. It's like forever being in that chair, and you're forever being on our side, looking at us 3 here talking, but also seeing things on the other side behind people.
Yeah.
I would contribute that to maybe normally I don't have dreams at all. It's very rare that I have a good dream.
Yeah.
And good dreams happen because I might have been earlier on in life. I would play a video game straight for weeks.
Yeah. I'm about to say
get any sleep.
I definitely agree with you.
I barely slept, and then after giving the game up, or I beat the game, now a week later I'm having dreams, and I'm relating the good dream to how long I played that video game.
I find myself being more comfortable with
dreams at all.
Do you think that because you had such a heavy experience as a kid that your dreams aren't there as much in your adulthood? Like that your body just got shocked so much as a kid.
I think
it's normal
through all that it might have
like it's normalized.
Or like it drained something from me.
Yeah.
Or like I think it's because the only way to describe it is like forever being plugged in. So like when I'm walking around, or in high school, I'd be in high school in class and I'm doing my schoolwork and I'm talking to a friend, but I'm seeing stuff on the other side while the normal day-to-day is happening. And I have to do strange things to shut it off or to ignore it.
Have y'all ever ran into someone like you know the feeling like that's how my dreams like I get the feeling like when like you can tell someone is like not them, like like I know anger is anger, frustration is frustration, like someone
getting them to a level they're not used to.
Yeah, like someone having murderous intent. That's I'm talking about like outside of that realm. Like you can literally like they're like already to the point of like something is there. Like it's not them. Like I that's how my dreams are.
I have goosebumps. You asked
because like I felt
add to that.
That made me think of that.
I have felt myself getting to a level that I don't usually get at.
Yeah, myself included. Like I've gotten, I would say, if I could describe it in the sense of like a physical aspect, I got immediately hot but no sweat. And I always sweat when I'm hot. There's no way in the world I'd do that. I was not under any influence, anything. I was well hydrated. I was actually on a regular day in a cold room. So I've gotten to that point where like I've gotten to a mindset of thinking, and outside of that, it went to a blind rage, as I would understand, like
or like a red tunnel.
Like literally, there's no thought. It's just straight up like I'm not even thinking what I want to do. It's just like I'm just actually at the state of there's not even like I can't even think. It's like clearing your mind, but for the complete negative. I've gotten to that point, so I can't relate.
I've definitely got to the point where I've red tunneled anger, to where it's I'm not paying attention to anything around me except what pissed me off, and I go for whatever that is. But at the same time, it's like you can feel it under your skin. Like you're getting angry at something to the point where it's like bubbling underneath your skin and you can't stop it. Yeah. And it's like provoking you to go further into that anger, further into yelling at whoever, or like you don't give a crap what you say to that person. Like it's almost like you can't control what you're doing. And then when you're done, your energy is just gone.
Shot like you, it's like snap out like, oh, I'm sorry.
Was there and it drained.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like I'm a big understanding. Like I would say the word y'all use is conduit. Like I've actually I've understood that term very understanding.
Yeah, conduit vessel. Yeah,
I call it a backpack. Like,
yeah. It almost feels like something you have to live with it.
And what's crazy is like
Can't
I've
live
actually
has importance.
I've witnessed those in real life. When I call it backpack, it's almost like a pocket. So the last thing that scared me half to death was I was at home alone. My kid was asleep in the other room, and sometimes I'll listen to music to calm down or just jam or just whatever. So I was sitting at the edge of my bed, had music going in my ears, and I felt something behind me. It was like a presence, like somebody, like the door was open. So it just felt like somebody, and they walk in your doorway, and all of a sudden you look over, and it's like your wife or whoever, and you're like, hey. You get that feeling of like, oh, something's over there. And so you turn and you draw attention to it.
Right.
I felt that behind me, but I was home alone. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's, I don't know, my kid's asleep still. It's nothing. So I went back to listen to music. And then all of a sudden out of my peripheral, which you see a lot of things out of, I saw this mass. I don't know what it was. I just saw a mass. And it got my attention to where I was like, holy crap. I was like, what was that? Don't know what it was.
Right.
So at that point I was like, okay. I was like, why am I seeing, that quick instant heavy mass flash? I mean, it was like a millisecond. It was gone.
Right. So I'll interject. I'll interject there because like I said, I'm the science guy. So like a big thing that I even ask to make sure that I know just we're on topic. Sure, sometimes when you see how things are your peripheral. That like it could be a piece of lint, your hair, or maybe it could be in your mind, telling you to go check on your son.
Spotters in your eyes.
Yeah, and I'm like, you were sure, like you were saying, like this gave you a different feeling, different vibe.
This was what. So a lot of times when I see auras, excuse me, auras. Sometimes I'll see good things, I'll see bad things. Sometimes I'll see very heavy demonic. Presence to where it's not good at all.
So it's serious.
There to do damage.
Right.
That is the presence I felt, like just darkness. And I saw it for a millisecond. And I said, what the crap? And so I put my headphones off. And I sat there for a second and nothing was there. And I was like, maybe I'm tired, whatever. But I was into the song I was listening to. So I popped it back in my ear. I'll finish it, go to bed, whatever. And I had my back towards my bedroom door. And all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. As soon as I put that music back on, I felt the presence of it behind me in full form. But for me, when I see things, it's like, when you ever see like germs under a microscope or whatever, see how they're all just oddly shaped?
Yeah, everything's oddly shaped.
I see that in the air. That's how I see it. And for me, when I looked at it, I could see everything. I could see my depression, my past addictions. I could see my anxieties, my stress. I could see my anger. I could see literally everything my family was going through all balled into one thing. And it was almost like a backpack of anger, demonic, like it was everything evil that was on our family at once. And it was in the room and it was staring at me. And that's when I realized that I was going through a lot of crap at that time. And I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't dealing with it the way I should have. And I was letting things go on too badly. And that crap was following me throughout my life at that moment. And I saw it. I don't pray much. We all went to church. I don't pray much except for when I really feel like I need to. And I just started praying. It just hit me. I just started praying to God. And I told that thing to get out of my house. I said, I don't need you anymore. Like, get out of my way, blah, blah, blah. It backed up, went into my kid's room, and started going towards my kid. Yeah, and I said,
"We confess, honestly."
So I busted that door open. He's dead asleep. I'm praying, and it shocked again, and it floated out of my kid's room and went towards my living room. And I started praying even louder, and it just disappeared in thin air. Yeah. And I felt such a relief.
But definitely goosebumps, right?
But like, just
truly.
So you had to witness it.
Yeah, like a hot flash.
Hot flash. That's wicked. Something true.
That's wicked. Like, I'm serious.
Yeah, we're going through stuff like that. Like it just, that's when it's personal. It's not as scientific, And a lot of sometimes people will hear stuff like that, or like hear you on the wall, or just whatever, or hear your dog. Like some people will be like, oh, the dog's just barking, or they'll be like, oh, he was just having a dream, or oh, Greg was just You know, he was just tired and he was just
Right.
going through whatever in life. Like, you do have your personal, you do have your scientific, you know, like you have different ways you can experience things, go through things.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a sensitive person, you're going to get more of the personal stuff that you're going to go through. But I hope with you joining and with this channel,
Definitely.
that we can bring more of it to light, scientific wise, and our personal, sensitive manners.
I mean, I'll always be there. Like I said, I'm definitely here to really be the literal aspect of everything. I know y'all definitely do that part really well. I just know, I definitely will be more focused head first on that. But definitely be quick to be understanding to what's going on. And
I would say three things have to be said, right? So, like, our connections here is the fact that we're all part of the same church.
Right.
Number two, I'm legitimately, legally
Old church,
your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So
married to my sister,
Chris,
definitely.
you got here today is my brother.
Family.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you know, we're all family.
And
We
Greg
all
is
call
literally
each
like
other
the
brothers.
older brother I've never had. So, literally.
So-
So I definitely.
And then third is the fact that what all three of us were describing is the differences between what most people try to find, which is just something left behind or what's categorized as a ghost. But when you go to another level and you say you had to pray, or you said you have to say in Jesus' name for it to go away, that is your proof. No matter how someone wants to argue it, it's demonic or it's negative or it's a dark presence.
Now, tell me about this.
That's what changes the aspect.
With that, I personally have had experiences both with praying to get rid of something, and more or less, only did I ever see it work when I adamantly believed. One, like I actually really wanted it to go away, not like I'm just like scared and I want it to go and I know what to say.
Yeah.
And then I've also had an instance where literally I don't say anything and just ignore it. And then I've also had the
You don't put any
instance,
attention to it.
right, and it goes away.
Yeah.
And I've also had the instance where literally I'm just like I really didn't really care and actually had a conversation,
Right.
like not a full on like word to word, but like concept of thought to thought conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then literally it was like it was never like. But I'm like, so I'm really skeptical on the aspects of how people view demons. Like it's like always something horrible, like they're out to take your body and rip you apart.
That
or-
definitely would be a different topic.
yeah, I'm just saying,
Different pocket. We can get
Yeah,
into that
definitely.
for a while.
No, just no future references here.
Yeah.
Like right now, what you asked, what's going on now? Because the number one thing I try to stay focused on is the fact that every 6 to 7 days, the list of the phenomenon that we know as paranormal constantly evolves.
Okay.
The same way that
Yeah.
someone's sensitive loses or gains gifts or abilities or skills, whatever how you want to say them. But right now, it's still at two extremes. It's either the media or things that get a lot of attention are either super, super, super negative and everything's blamed on demons. And a lot of times it can be, something could be normal and turned into a demon just by all that attention. Or two, they're getting inadvertent attention by the belief that they don't exist and they're not real.
It's kind of like
I want to say I want to be in the middle.
Yeah, like
I'm the needle
a
that's
thief
saying,
would not want to be
hey,
caught.
there's
That's how you
these-
become a better
there's these
thief. So
things
I
that
can understand what
be
you're saying.
negative, and then there's these things that aren't, and we want to show both, and just at least show proof that they're both.
It's kind of like the Santa Claus method. You know, the more people believe in him, the more he has Christmas magic to deliver the presents.
Right, right.
But no, it's so when we go out to places, Chris sometimes is more of the provoker than I am. I'm more of the, hey, I'm here to respect. I don't want your ass to come home with me, you know, kind of guy.
I'm more the guy. I don't
So-
want to go places because I'm telling you, no, there's literally
Yeah.
some pressure here. Let's not.
But
Let's be
there are
mindful.
times where I'm like, all right, I'm bucking up. Like, I'm going to ask you some damn questions and you're going to answer. I will get that way. He is more like, I will walk up to it and stare it dead in its face and ask it questions. So we have a little bit of ways of doing it different. But the thing is, sometimes I feel if you do provoke in certain manners in certain areas, you know, like for example, Ghost Adventures. You've seen that show, right?
Yeah.
Like Zach, you know,
Oh,
the league. He will
100%
provoke
of the time.
to the point where it's like, dude, if you're getting scratched and something's smacking you in the face,
They're not liking
don't
what
keep going on with
like,
that.
you
Yeah,
never
don't
know.
take that.
You never know what can happen. And
Yeah.
I've definitely witnessed
And-
some stuff happening.
which I
You
don't-
never know.
And speaking of like demons and demonic stuff, you know, like for me, that's the one thing I can't stand or get into is like possessions and stuff. Like that freaks me out because I've seen stuff and I see how things can you know, be manipulated and stuff. And like you said, you look at people and you're like, that's not him or that's not her, that's something else. So for me, that's where I draw the line. And for people like Zach and his show, there are times where all of a sudden he changes who he is and he's attacking his crew people and stuff like that. And I'm like, why would you want to get yourself to that point if it's real in that show or not? Like what we show, it's 100% real, whatever we capture or whatever. And that's what we're trying to bring to, whoever's watching. Yeah. But, there are times to where I feel like provoking is a good thing, but also is not, because if you do provoke and bring attention to something, you are feeding it power and energy to the point where you're not just getting evidence of, hey, yes, ghosts exist or spirits or demons exist. You will literally give that thing enough energy to hurt you, scratch you, hit you, attack you, manipulate you, use you as a conduit to hurt somebody next to you. Like, you can take that chance of it going south quick.
Yeah, so I agree with you with the provoking thing, definitely. Just as my last piece before this all ends here tonight. Literally, so I've experienced death, right? So in that little sense, I'm not worried, and the reason why I say I'm eager to see this is because from what I've experienced, and I just recently met someone that I know from a spiritual standpoint. What the outcome for their decision in life, what their outcome is supposed to be. So I already know that they know if I'm keeping it completely religious, they're supposed to be in the same position I am. So I feel like I've experienced, if that is true, on the religious standpoint, not going where I need to go. Right. I've experienced the complete silence that I've heard and read in the Bible, but I've never experienced, I guess, the full of terror and multiple voices. I've only heard just my own, and that's it. Like your own inner voice? And I'm telling you, I couldn't see nothing. But I could clearly tell, I couldn't tell that I died or nothing. Yeah. I just had no thought of it's like, when you're trying to think of something and you have on the tip of your tongue, but you can't get it out. Yeah. It's like that feeling all over again. But in the sense of you can feel your body. It's like knowing you have a leg, but you can't move the leg. It's like the leg can move.
Like you're leaving
paralyzed. I mean, it's weird. Or like having a numbing feeling in your hand, but you're touching it, and you cannot feel it. So your mind's putting all the computing sense that you can. That I'm touching something, but nothing's happening. But there's nowhere in the world you're feeling the texture. So you're losing your shit basically. It's not losing your mind.
So it's almost like in Kill Bill, she's crawling out of the hospital because she's supposed to be paraplegic. She just got herself out of a coma. She crawls into this guy's truck, and she's staring at her toes and legs, willing them back to move, and she keeps yelling.
Yeah. It's like imagine that, but not trying to.
She's already imagining in her head. She's trying to tell her toes.
Yeah, no. Stop right there.
Nothing's happening.
No imagination. Yeah. There is none. There's no room for it.
It's like when you take a crap too long, and all of a sudden your legs asleep, and you go to stand up to wash your hands.
Best way. It's like this. It's like breathing. Right now, if I tell you to start focusing on breathing, you can focus on it, and then you mess up. 9 times in the typical human, you tell them to start focusing on breathing, they start actually focusing on each and every breath, and it's not normal. You start realizing how abnormal you can.
It's just because it's a normal habit, so we don't really think about it.
It's like
you tell anybody to think about anything, they instantly go.
Right, there is no thinking. I could only express I literally could just. It was I was missing a part of cognition of thought. I was skipping a process of how I was able to formulate what I'm saying. Yeah. I knew what I was saying, but it was I couldn't, there was no, I can't explain it. If anybody knows how it feels to think of something before you say it, that actual feeling, there is no registry of that. Yeah. And I just wanted to say that I'm very eager to see that, because I personally believe in death, but I don't believe in a lot of other things. But I do know paranormal is one of the things. So I do appreciate y'all for bringing me on.
Yeah, definitely.
And I hope
happy to have you.
A big change.
In wrapping up mode, one, I don't provoke in the same way Zach does.
No. I was trying to use so the listeners, if they do see the show, they understand.
Who are you?
Number one, when we go to a place, I have to remind myself mentally that when I go into a zone in my mind, that there's other people around me. So one, I'm not going to describe what I'm seeing.
Right.
Because I have no lens, so there's no filter. I can't control it. The minute I look in a direction, they're already there. So I'm not going to talk about it. Number two, if I do go in a mode where it sounds like I'm provoking, it's only because I'm getting excited. Saying, one,
get in that mode.
If I say, hey, it's here, or something happens and they're going to witness it, Now I have proof I'm not being mental and I'm not making it up in my mind.
Yeah.
They can see it or witness it or feel it or whatever happens.
Well, yeah, no, 'cause we
Would
don't
y'all
be skeptical,
would y'all mind if I was more verbal? Because like typically when I experience an atmospheric pressure like that, I typically try not to speak. Cause I feel like sometimes I feel like I've never spoke at all. So like honestly, I would say I would
definitely
hate
be-
to disrupt that. I don't know what to.
Definitely be verbal about stuff because I mean, you want people to witness or realize what you're going through.
Okay.
So so for me, for example, if I get touched and I'm filming, I'm gonna say, hey, something just touched my leg, something just touched my arm, whatever.
Well, yeah, because then you
So-
can connect it to
Yeah.
what if a voice just happened.
Which is
We
what happened at
recorded
the
it.
cemetery. I was like, did something touch my leg? And
Yeah.
I got an answer. So sometimes being verbal or bringing stuff up, it can make things better for the viewers or make something better for you or make you know that you're not going crazy type thing, or you're not like, oh, it wasn't just, my leg itching.
It's a different story about my stuff. That's all I'll say. And then I promise to people listening to the podcast or watching our videos that before and after we're done with the thing, we do a prayer together as a group. And most of the time, people have me lead the prayer. And the prayer is based on, at the end, healing, in the beginning, protection, and asking and stating that, hey, nothing's going to follow us, and we're not seeking anything negative. So, because sometimes you can go to a place and nothing be there, but if you didn't do that prayer, make that statement, you're not bringing something from your life in there, and it shouldn't be there.
It can return
we,
right
we
back
just
there.
we just honestly really want to seek knowledge into everything and also seek truth out. That's it. We don't want
Nothing
to.
Nothing else.
We're not trying to be necromancers or any crazy kind of people. I don't
No,
want to.
not at all, not
I
at
don't
all.
want a new best friend for no reason.
Yeah, I'm not looking for nothing like that.
But you know what, though? I will say this. If we go to a place and a window is open and it should have been closed, we can, if we have the means, properly close it.
Yeah.
That would be a good statement to make. And then, too, on closing here again, like I said earlier, on your statement with near-death experiences, I've had the exact number of man. I've had 6 near-death experiences.
No, I'm dead. I've died. the whole 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Mine near-death.
Longest 3 minutes. Felt like more than 3 hours. It felt like I had been sitting there for days. I felt.
My near death was I was in the middle of dying in Walmart and I felt things pulling on me, pulling my inside me out of my body, and I'm having my family members and myself look at my fingers and my face and my lips go purplish blue, and I don't know what's going on, and I'm losing the ability to move my arms. So I have a pastor from our church and my father put me on this bench at Walmart. The other 5 incidences dealt with crazy car accidents. So
I definitely felt the car accident thing.
I have a portion of the car on me and I can't breathe, and something moves the car. And then the second time I move the car, and then the third time I'm laying there and I wake up and the car's miles away from where it originally was on top of me. And then the last time was I was ejected from the car and I should have been dead, and I walked up, got up, and was fine.
Wow.
I've had a couple near-death experiences too, but we'll wrap that up for another time.
Yeah.
We kind of went a little over our time frame here.
We got a few topics though.
Yeah,
a lot of topics.
I will say we're definitely happy to have you. We're excited to get into some investigations, walkthroughs with you.
Definitely.
We definitely have upgraded our stuff. I got a new camera for the crew that's super dope.
Yes.
And we're excited to try it out for the next one. We're trying to decide where we're going to go for the next few places. One of them is the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, St. John's Church.
Yes.
We were trying to get that one in the bag. And then also maybe the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. We're trying to get those two, which are here in Richmond, Virginia.
If you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
Really. Pony Pastures, which is a park
Another
here
one. We have a whole list of stuff. But anyway, we're going to try and wrap up and get out of here. And, we're excited to bring you some new content here soon. But again, I'm Greg.
I'm Chris.
And Chris.
Got the 2 Chris's with us now. But, yeah.
Shadows are back.
Shadows are bound for sure. But you guys have a good day, and we will see you on the next video or podcast.
Alrighty.
Podcast.